Hello and welcome to today's Book I Love video with Liam from Cheshire East Libraries. Bit of a sporting theme today as I'm going to be sharing my enjoyment for Jamie Redknapp's new memoir, Me, Family and the Making of a Footballer, and it was published this year by Headline Publishing Group. With COVID-19 cutting off the freedom to meet with my friends indoors, football became a real godsend to all of us, as it allowed us to still meet up and keep ourselves active at the same time. Having thought I trailed off being interested in football, despite the unfortunate circumstances, I'm really pleased that this year changed my mindset, as it is one of the few activities I really look forward to during the week at the moment, and it has also rekindled my support for Liverpool Football Club, who I used to relentlessly support as a nipper. Plus, if I don't mind adding, it's been a really good year for our team. It also brought us friends closer together, as we now regularly exchange banter due to the confliction of teams that we support, and as such, I now understand why it is termed the beautiful game. In addition to this, I have also opened my horizons to reading books on football, and this trend started when I discovered that Jamie Redknapp had written a new biography. Redknapp played as a central midfielder for Liverpool from 1991 to 2002, even serving as a club captain, and despite all the knockbacks he had with his injuries, he was one of my favourite footballers as a young lad. As well as Jamie, I'm also a fan of what you might term the Redknapp dynasty, as I used to like cheering on Frank Lampard for England, and his dad, Harry Redknapp, is what you might describe as a real national treasure. Harry was an excellent manager, and England may regret having never asked him to take the role of the top job. And it is this notion of being born into a footballing family which acts as one of the book's main themes, as Jamie Redknapp discusses how he made his own name despite being in the shadows of his dad and his uncle, who were renowned football coaches at the time. So if you think you're going to come to this book and find out how Jamie met Louise Nerding and why their 19-year marriage ran its course, then this book is definitely not for you. You'd be better waiting for Louise Redknapp's autobiography, due out next year. Jamie Redknapp breaks the tradition of sportsman autobiographies, which usually take us from birth to retirement and often discuss the lavish parties that happen behind the scenes. Instead, he presents a humble and sincere account of the psychology that creates a great footballer. Redknapp's memoir draws us into the moment of kicking the ball for the first time around his housing estate, to the gradual steps and trials he had to take in order to become one of Liverpool's most successful and technically skilled players. As he frames the journey, you very often feel that you're on the pitch kicking the ball with him there and then, and it captures the nostalgia of the eras excellently, from the 70s, the 80s to the 90s. I particularly liked the magnified detail he would go into about each edition of his Adidas football boots, and he utilised the five senses well to capture those memories. It really is a special feeling when you find that magical boot which feels right and defines your performance on the field. I could really relate to his love affair with each football boot. This book is packed full of guest appearances from legendary names like John Barnes and Alan Hansen, and it was a refreshing change to find a biography that doesn't lash out scathing comments about each person they encounter. In contrast, Redknapp comes across as a respectful and modest person, and when he mentions someone, he tends to focus on the positive attributes and experience he gained from them to become a successful sports figure. An added touch to the book is it includes guest extracts from family members, former team players and former managers who add an expansion onto some of Redknapp's recollections. Each extract showcases a third-person perspective on his achievements, but also symbolises how football is a shared experience, not an individual one. There are two key moments in the book I really like, the first being how Redknapp candidly discusses the anxiety he felt trying to break away from his dad's wings from Bournemouth to become a player at Liverpool. And secondly, when Redknapp signs as a player for Liverpool Football Club, Kenny Dalglish suddenly resigns as club manager. And so you get absorbed into this insightful drama of how Redknapp blamed himself for being the sole factor for the great Scott's departure, rather than the Hillsborough crisis, which has often been alleged as the true reason why. Overall, Jamie Redknapp's memoir scored highly with me, as it gave me a valuable picture of what makes Liverpool different from any other club. And I liked the idea of examining how a footballer is created by the mere mental and physical trials they have to face in order to be successful. If only my footwork were up to his standards. So, cheers for listening to my review today, and look out for more recommendations from our library staff soon. And fingers crossed, Liverpool are going to win this year's Premier League season. Come on, Liverpool!